just the immediate tax we impose on these companies, for example. If they can streamline their processes together and then bring down the cost, for example, of right of way, for example, for the telecoms, and the cost of erecting the infrastructure comes down, they'll be able to roll out faster, reach more people, more subscribers. In turn, more tax are paid by these companies because they make more money. Their tax is a function of the revenue they make. If they're able to make more money, they pay more tax to the government, they employ more people who end up also paying more tax to the government. And of course, it throws out so many other businesses around itself. People sell more recharge cards. People who never thought they could get something to do, they find a means of livelihood around ICT, either support engineers or hardware engineers or even software programmers as well. I believe we need to take ICT very seriously.
Yeah, talking about software programmers, we don't seem to have enough of them around. Why is it so?
I must admit that seems to be the perception, but that is not the true picture. What we have is a case where those talents don't have a platform to express their ideas or to showcase their talents.
How do you mean?
Great. We all know that sales drives production in any business. Now, a typical software house who is not given an opportunity to sell its products will ultimately end up winding down. And then the programmers they have will probably have to be laid off or they cut in the name of right sizing. That discourages more young people from going to programming. But where you see that the business is flourishing, you are making more money, and you are even thinking of expansion, you want to recruit more programmers. That creates a way for more young guys to go into programming. And then it becomes a lucrative business. So I believe it's not a case of we don't have enough, it's that the environment has not provided sufficient opportunity for them to come out.
I know you had mentioned enabling environment, and that has always been, you know, what a lot of people keep saying, oh, give us enabling environment. In fact, that was the reason the government had to co-opt the private sector into the integrated infrastructure, integrated national infrastructure master plan.
That's right.
You know, they wanted to get to find out from the private sector, look, what is it? Each time you keep telling us, provide us with enabling environment. So tell us, what is your own understanding of enabling environment? So I'm asking you now, what is your own understanding of enabling environment, really?
What I mean by that is that the government should provide a level playing ground. I believe the local software industry is not afraid to compete with international counterparts, but they should be given opportunity to compete. I must admit things are changing though. Before it used to be very, very bad. You are not even considered at all as an indigenous company. But now things are changing. Now there are opportunities coming, but there is still a whole lot more to be done. I am aware, for example, CBN is active in this area, looking inward to the local software industry. I'm very aware of that. But we need more government agencies, for example, to take the lead. Now, I believe the government can protect the local software industry. Where we have competence already for such areas, they should try to encourage the local players first, the indigenous players first, over the foreign players. And once that comes up and then more local or indigenous players get opportunities, it encourages them to improve on their competence. They learn from whatever mistake they make while implementing the first few ones, but then ultimately it translates to a better solution down the line. The business grows, the economy grows generally.
All right. Now let's look at ICT in the banking sector. Of course, the cashless policy would have been inconceivable, you know, without ICT. Looking at what is obtainable here, what are those areas we really need to improve on?
I believe the area we need to improve on, just like the minister said, is basically infrastructure. I know especially in the far north area of the country where the infrastructure is not as good as what obtains in the west, is still a big challenge. Where you have many banks, for example, branches still running on VSAT instead of fiber optics. All those are challenges that we still have to cope with, and we know VSAT is subject to so many things like weather condition and all those things, frequent breakages or vandalization take place. But if we can put all those infrastructure in place, and then government definitely has a very critical role in this area. For example, security. Many of those infrastructures are frequently vandalized, looted, or shut down for many reasons. And ultimately, this affects the cartel policy, just like you have mentioned. I know many banks have to send their instruments from one state to another to get them truncated because they couldn't get it done in their local states for various reasons, including inadequate service covered by the providers, who not only want to do so, but are incapacitated by various regulations and policies that are not favorable to them.
Okay. Now, oftentimes the telecom operators are blamed for whatever is happening in the banking sector. That's for the failure of this electronic payment. I'm talking in respect of electronic payment. What about the software developers? You are in the software developing business. Don't you have any blame there?
I won't absolve anybody of the blame. Just I will say there is no system that is perfect. Everybody learns. But the important is that everybody learns from their mistakes. But as it turns out, most of these issues are more on the hardware, which is where the PTOs, the telecoms comes in. The software is so that if it works for one, it will work for 1 million. Okay? But where the infrastructure is not there, for example, somebody is at a branch in Maiduguri, wants to use a POS, and then slides in his card, and then the POS fails to make a connection to the bank. There is nothing that can happen. Or in case where the connection is made, your account is debited, the POS does not get a feedback on time that you have been debited and tells you failure of transaction. And then your transaction is rejected, but you have been debited.
Now, but do you think we could have done better?
I believe we will do better.
We will do better. But going by what we have, could we have done any better?
Yes, we can. Just like I said, we need to be sincere with our purpose as a people to move forward. We need to agree we want this thing to happen, and all the stakeholders need to come together and agree on how to make it happen. They shouldn't look at the immediate gains, for example, like the state governments, for example, the various local governments, all the security agencies and the agri bodies should need to look at the big picture and not the immediate gain. Okay, I will impose 5 million naira levy on this site, and then I make the money, I go away. I don't care about the security of that site. I don't care what it costs to run that site. An average base station in Europe is just the mast. In Nigeria, it's not just the mast. You have to consider the generator, the diesel. You have to provide the security guard to stay watch, somebody to go and check the diesel level from time to time. All those additional costs that impact the rate of rollout of the infrastructure that we have presently in Nigeria.